Alright, so this is the Sterling, the second typewriter that I bought for $30 on Facebook Marketplace, and it's in pretty good shape. As we'll see once we get into it, it's pretty filthy inside. The outside's pretty good. The paint is somewhat scratched. I haven't actually tested it yet. The keys move pretty well, but the ribbon carrier, sometimes called a vibrator here, the ribbon carrier is really kind of weirdly corroded, and so I want to get that off before I actually put ribbon in there to test it. And so to do that, we're going to start tearing this thing down a little bit today. So first step is to take this panel off. I guess I can show this is the panel that lets you get to the ribbon spools. And taking this off is pretty easy. We have on this side this screw, and the corresponding ones on the other side. And you can already see here some of the filth. It's like fibers. I think it's from the fabric of the case that it came in. And it's kind of gumming up the insides. So now we'll pull this over and get to the same screws on the other side. Go. So that just comes off. There's the nasty old sound dampening insulation in there. Okay, so now we can see a little bit better into it. There's more of the fibers all over the place in there. I'll take that outside to blow all that out with compressed air later. But for now, let's go ahead and take a crack at getting this out. I don't actually know what happens if you try to take this guard here off. And we're about to find out, because my goal is to get this thing out. This moves up and down every time you press a key. And I'm hoping that I can clean that using solvents or polishing or something. But let's see what happens. Do we get any catastrophe? Okay, so this guard came off, and this spring was just in there somehow. So I'm gonna have to figure out, I think, the spring looks like it sits in these little grooves here, and I'm guessing that's a little bit height adjustable, but I'm not actually sure. So this is still moving, and there's actually a linkage down here, right here, that I can see that is going to make that harder to disconnect. But I suspect that the next these screws will disconnect the front cover and release the thing that's behind there, but I don't think that's what we actually want. Let me poke at this for a bit. Alright, my research suggests that it is not easy to get this ribbon lift out of here, and probably I'm better off just trying to clean it in place. If we look at it there, there we go. The crud on it doesn't extend too far underneath, and so probably what I'm going to do, like for right this minute, we can see that whatever the scale on there is, it actually does come off. And so I think what's going to make sense is for me to tackle cleaning that in place when I have the thing disassembled and I'm using mineral spirits to clean it. But one thing I did see is that we can remove the I guess it's called the card guide or something. Oops. Let's get a better fitting screwdriver head here. Alright, I think I got a reasonable size here. The screwdriver head. I really don't want to strip that screw. There we go. Okay, so you just loosen those a little bit, and then this thing's supposed to be able to come out. Yeah, so this piece we'll also want to clean separately. And does that now make it any easier to get to that? Well, it'll make it easier to get around to the back of it. Once I get into disassembling this for cleaning, this platen and this guide here, like a lot of this stuff is just going to be out of there, and it's going to be a lot easier for us to get that. We can put some cloth around it, spray it with mineral spirits, and scrub it with brushes like these. So we have good options there, but I don't think I can do that right now. And so unfortunately, alright, new plan. It's actually not that hard to clean this thing with the toothbrush. When I get in there, with the toothbrush, I'm actually able to get it reasonably clean, but it's depositing a bunch of crud in here. So what I'm going to do is spend a couple minutes getting this reasonably clean, and then before I do much else with it, I'm going to go take it outside and just use a can of compressed air to blow that crud out a little bit. Later I'm going to do a complete, like a much deeper clean, spraying all the crap out here with a much stronger air compressor, but for now I'm content to just sort of get the crud from this thing out of the mechanism. Then I can put some ribbon in it and we can test it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this with a brush, go spray this out a little bit, and then we can put this back together and test it with the ribbon. Alright, so I had that outside. I cleaned this up a bunch, and then I sprayed out there with the compressed air. The compressed air is pretty weak, and it's not really getting to the stuff back here, which is kind of gunked up, but this I feel is clean enough now for me to at least test the typewriter. So let's see if we can get this thing back together. That bit came off earlier. We also have this piece here. Let's go ahead and clean that real quick. That I think we can probably clean with just Q-tips. Yeah, that's coming nice and clean just with a Q-tip. That's good enough for now. Later I'll figure out some appropriate cleaner to use on that to make it better. But for now, let's see if we can get this back in. We want to get it back in here to meet up with these little screws that are down here. Alright, that took some fiddling, but now this card guide is now nestled in under where those two screws are. So now we should be able to carefully tighten that back in. Very careful not to over tighten and strip those screws. Okay, so that should be good. And now we need to get this fixture back in here. And this has, again, it has these grooves on the back here. I know that goes in front on this side, so essentially these need to be tucked into there. And then I think it's just going to be friction fit there. Not sure how to keep it held in there though. Maybe what we have to do is put it there and then tuck it in. There we go. I think. Okay, finally. So now I can see that this spring is not quite nestled in its little slot. But there it is now. Okay, so now we should be able to tighten this down bit by bit. Okay, is that still there? That's still free. That's attached. Okay, tighten that down carefully. It's really easy to strip these old screws, so it's very important to use the right size screwdriver head. It should be these, you can see how these are called, I forget what they're called, but they're round bored flathead screwdrivers, so that it's parallel, so that it nestles nicely within the screw. So now I think that's there. These are tightened up. That's reasonably clean, and so we can actually throw some ribbon in here. I happen to have some spare nylon ribbon sitting here, so let's just go ahead and get that in there. I can see there's crud elsewhere that's getting on here. I really should have cleaned this out, but I'm going to be impatient. Let's just sacrifice a little bit of the ribbon to be able to test this. Okay. Alright. The ribbon is there. The ribbon is turned to the right. Let me go grab a piece of paper. Alright, let's try this thing out. This is literally the first that I'm trying to type on this. I can see that the type slugs here are very dirty, so it may end up being a bit messy and smudgy until I get those cleaned out. And I don't know. Let's just jump in and see. Oops, I put those rollers down there. Pretty good. Not bad at all. Let's actually just test all the characters to see. Oops. Really quite good. Yeah, and the action on here is actually really tight, really great. Wow, I'm impressed. I'm excited to get this thing cleaned out. It's really nice. Unlike the Clipper, the other typewriter, this Sterling, which is a slightly higher end level, has these paper fingers for holding the paper. It has this nice little adjuster here for just lining up your paper more easily. It has this little gadget here, which is called a line retainer, which I don't fully understand. It's a way for you to be able to do like superscript and subscript kind of. But most interestingly, it has a tab key, which the other one does not, and that's because there's a tabulator, which you have these little notches here, and you physically take these pins off and move them around to create the tab stops. And so if you were to push the tab key, it's going to move to the next one of those positions that you have, that you physically defined as the tab stops in there. And the other typewriter did not have that feature. I want this closed now. Oh, because it's spring-loaded. Yeah, very nice. This needs some cleaning, but it feels really good. I'm impressed. Here's a close-up view of the text that we got out of it. Pretty good.